In a small town, lost among the hills of Galilee, where stone houses crowded along narrow streets, and the smell of bread from the communal oven mixed with the scent of myrtle and Shabbat candles, lived an old sage named Rabbi Yitzhak. He was a descendant of great Kabbalists, and people came to him from distant lands to hear words of truth. One day, a young merchant named Mordechai came to him. He was honest, hard-working, and respected in the community, but lately, one question had been troubling him. He often lent money to neighbors, friends, and even strangers who came to him begging for help. He gave because he had been taught that helping the needy is a great commandment. But he began to notice that many did not repay their debts. Those who did repay did so with resentment, as if he were a moneylender and not a benefactor. His heart was troubled. "Rabbi," said Mordecai, "I lend money because I want to help, but my debtors become my enemies. What am I doing wrong?" Rabbi Yitzchak was silent for a long time, then looked at Mordecai with his deep eyes and said, "I will tell you a story. If you listen carefully, you will understand what happens to a person who lends money." In old Krakow, in the heart of the Jewish quarter, lived a man named Moshe. He was a tailor, not rich, but not poor either. He had a small workshop, a good wife, healthy children. He was not greedy, but he was kind, and this kindness became his curse. Moshe believed that helping one's neighbor was a sacred duty. When a neighbor asked for money for bread, Moshe gave. When a friend asked for his daughter's wedding, Moshe gave. When a stranger came from another town, Moshe gave. He took no receipts, set no deadlines, demanded no interest. He simply gave. "I am doing a good deed," he would tell his wife. "It is a commandment." His wife sighed, but said nothing. She saw that their own children wore old clothes, that there was never enough money in the house, that Moshe worked until late at night to give away what he himself had not earned. She would say, "You give too much. People get used to your kindness. They stop being grateful. They just can't pay back right now, but when they can, they will." Yet the years passed, and few repaid. Debts accumulated. People began to avoid Moshe, not because they hated him, but because they were ashamed. They could not look him in the eye, knowing they owed him. Instead of gratitude, they felt guilt. And guilt, as is well known, rarely turns into love. It turns into anger. One day, Moshe's old friend Shmuel came to him. He was poor, his wife was sick, and he asked for money for medicine. Moshe gave his last savings. "Shmuel," he said, "I know you will repay when you can." Shmuel wept with gratitude. He swore he would repay every last coin. A year passed. Shmuel did not repay the money. Moshe met him at the market. Shmuel was wearing a new coat. His wife was healthy, and they were buying sweet wine. Moshe approached and asked, "Shmuel, you owe me money. I know you have the means to repay." Shmuel frowned. "Moshe, I remember the debt, but now is not the time. I have other expenses." "What expenses?" asked Moshe. "You are in a new coat. Your wife is healthy. Are you spying on me?" Shmuel snapped. "Do you think I have to account to you? You gave me the money because you wanted to help. Now you demand it back like a moneylender. You have changed, Moshe." Shmuel left, leaving Moshe bewildered. He did not understand why his friend, whom he had helped, was now angry with him. He went home and told his wife everything. His wife said, "You wanted to help Moshe, but you did not understand one thing. When you lend money, you change the relationship. You become not a friend, but a creditor. You cease to be equal, and people cannot bear that. They prefer to forget the help, so they do not have to feel obligated." Moshe sat in silence. He understood that his kindness had caused him to lose a friend. In the neighboring quarter lived a moneylender named Meir. He was the opposite of Moshe. He lent money only against a receipt, only with interest, and only for a short term. Those who came to him were desperate. He was harsh, but fair. One day, A poor man came to him who needed money for his son's medical treatment. He wept and said, "I know you have strict rules, but I beg you, lend me the money. I will repay with interest as soon as I can." Meir looked at him, thought for a moment, and said, "I will lend you the money without interest. But you must come to me in a month and tell me how you spent it." The poor man was surprised, but agreed. A month later, he came. He told him that his son was healthy, that he had found work, that life was improving. He brought the money and returned it to Meir. Meir said, "You did not just return the money to me. You returned respect to me. You came, you spoke, you did not hide. You did not become my enemy because you did not forget your debt." When Rabbi Yitzhak finished the story, he looked at Mordechai and said, "You have heard two stories. Moshe gave to everyone without receipts and lost friends. Meir gave with rules and gained respect. They both lent money, but they received different results. Why?" Mordechai thought for a moment. "Because it is not about the money," continued the rabbi. "It is about what you leave in the soul of the person to whom you give. If you give money and do not give the person a way to preserve his dignity, he will hate you. If you give money and do not make him understand that he is obliged to repay, he will consider you a fool. If you give money and do not think about the fact that you yourself need to live, you will lose everything." Mordecai asked, "So what should I do? Not give at all?" "Give, but wisely," answered the rabbi. "Do not give what you yourself need. Do not give without receipts. Do not give without a deadline. Do not give without a conversation about what honesty means. And remember, he who lends money later is responsible not only for his purse, but also for the soul of the one to whom he gives. If you make a person a debtor, you must help him remain a person. You thought that kindness was everything, but kindness without wisdom is not kindness. It is weakness. And people take advantage of that weakness. If it concerns a loved one and you have the opportunity to help, sometimes it is better to simply give the amount they ask for as a gift. In that case, the money will be gone, but respect for yourself and for the person close to you will remain." Mordecai bowed and left. He stopped lending money to everyone indiscriminately. He began to give only to those who could repay, and to those who could not, he tried simply to help whenever possible. He began to take receipts, set deadlines, remind about debts. He did this not out of greed, but out of wisdom, and he noticed that his debtors stopped being his enemies. They began to respect him and see him as a serious man, because he himself began to show seriousness in such a delicate matter. From that time on, they say in those parts, "He who irresponsibly lends money loses a friend and gains an enemy. Only the wise in this matter finds respect. For an honest debtor is not the one who repaid the money, but the one who did not forget his word."